Hi, let me introduce myself. I am Álvaro García Antesana. I am 24 years old. I am studying electromechanic engineer at Simón y Patiños University. Actually, I am living in Cochabamba, Bolivia. This is my video for my focus project. The topic that I have chosen for my video is what is depression and how can we get over it. So let's start. What is depression? Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. In the United States, close to 10% of adults struggle with depression. But because it is a mental illness, it can be a lot of harder to understand than, say, high cholesterol. One major source of confusion is the difference between having depression and just feeling depressed. Almost everyone feels down from time to time, getting a bad grade, losing a job, having an argument. Even a rainy day can bring up feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's no trigger at all. It just pops out of the blue, then circumstances change and those sad feelings disappear. Clinical depression is different. It is a medical disorder and it won't go away because you want it to. It lingers for at least 2 consecutive weeks and significantly interferes with one's ability to work, play, or love. Depression can have a lot of different symptoms: a low mood, loss of interest in things you have normally enjoyed, change in appetite, feeling worthless or excessively guilty, sleeping either too much or too little, poor concentration, restlessness or slowness, loss of energy, or recurring thoughts of suicide. If you have at least 5 of those symptoms, according to psychiatric guidelines, you qualify for a diagnosis of depression. And it is not just behavioral symptoms. Depression has physical manifestations inside the brain. First of all, some changes could be seen with the naked eyes and X-ray vision. These include smaller frontal lobes and hippocampal volumes. On a more micro scale, depression is associated with a few things: the abnormal transmission or depletion of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, gluten circadian rhythms, or specific changes in the RIM and slow wave parts of their life cycle, and hormone abnormalities such as high cortisol and the regulation of thyroid hormones. But neuroscientists still don't have a complete picture of what causes depression. It seems to have to do with a complex interaction between genes and the environment. But we don't have a diagnostic tool that can accurately predict where or when it will show up. And because depression symptoms are intangible, it is hard to know who might look fine but is struggling with. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it takes the average of a person suffering with a mental illness over 10 years to ask for help. But there are very effective treatments. Medications and therapy complement each other to boost brain chemicals. In extreme cases, electroconvulsive therapy, which is like a controlled seizure in the patient's brain, is also very helpful. Other promising treatments, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, are being investigated too. So, if you know someone struggling with depression, encourage them gently to seek out some of these options. You might even offer to help with a specific task, like looking up therapists in the area or making a list of questions to ask a doctor. To someone with depression, these first steps can seem unsurmountable. If they feel guilty or ashamed, point out that depression is a medical condition, just like asthma or diabetes. It is not a weakness or personality trait, and they shouldn't expect themselves to just get over it any more than they could will themselves to get over a broken arm. If you haven't experienced depression yourself, avoid comparing it to times you have felt down. Comparing what they are experiencing to normal, temporary feelings of sadness can make them feel guilty for struggling. Even just talking about depression openly can help. For example, research shows that asking someone about suicidal thoughts actually reduces their suicide risk. Open conversations about mental illness help erode the stigma, and make it easier for people to ask for help. And the more patients seek treatment, the more scientists will learn about depression, and the better treatments will get. So, if you have depression, it's not the end of the world. Having a positive support system can help feel less alone, especially when you are dealing with depression. When you think about you can rely on, ask yourself if they have your best interest in mind. Friends and family who offer a helping hand free of judgment are a great place to start. So there are a lot of options to do when you have depression. And here you have some advices to get over depression. Um, do the opposite of what Depression Voice suggests. Set attainable goals, reward your efforts, spend times in nature or spend time with loved ones, like your family, friends, if you have a girlfriend or boyfriend. Use writing or journaling to express your feelings. Incorporating meditation may help ground your thoughts. If if you can meditate some of your thoughts, you can you can feel free about doing what depression voices suggest. Consider limiting drugs and alcohol. Accept the validity of your emotions. Set attainable goals. And in my opinion, the most important advices that I can give you is consider clinical treatment. So for me, it is important to know that our youth across the world every day are diagnosed with depression and anxiety. There are millions and millions of people who deal with this on a daily basis. They're not seeking attention, they're not making it up, and they are not looking for you to give them some sort of present for it, or for it to be a sad story. It is a real thing. I was diagnosed with depression many years ago. It has been part of my life, it has been part of my story, but it never stopped me from doing everything that I wanted to do in this world. For those of you who are struggling with depression and anxiety, I stand with you. I love you. I understand the gray. I understand the numb. Hang on. It gets better. There is light. Speak to a family member. Speak to a friend. If you can go, if you can go to a therapist, these things are not something we should be ashamed of. You are not broken. You can go on to do all the things that you want to do in your life. I promise. So the reason that I have chose this topic for my focus project is a lot of people they die day by day with this mental illness. So the reason that I share this or that I choose this topic is because your life is always worth living. I want to say that your life is always worth living. Please never ever take your life from us. We need you. We're enjoying this human experience together. So spread love. See the light in the world. Turn off internet for a while. See each other's faces and eyes and feel each other's hearts and exist and just love. That's it. It's simple. So, in conclusion, depression is something we should take seriously. Many people they die day by day because of it. We must have more empathy with people we don't know. We can't see behind their lives. We must we like I say, we must have more empathy with people we don't know. So if you have a friend who is going through depression or anxiety or another kind of problem, help them. Maybe it cannot look too much for you, but probably you will save their lives. Be gentle and help them to find another way to deal with their problems or the depression that they have. Spend time with them, and the most important thing is to let them know that they are not alone. So remember, if you have depression, you are not alone.